All right, guys, today we're going to talk about upgrading something called a personal device interface module, and this is what the base one looks like that we're going to upgrade. I'm going to show you a couple of checks to see if you have this, because if we upgrade it, what we're going to be able to do is allow for streaming Bluetooth music, which doesn't normally come with this PDIM by default. So let me show you the three checks to see if you can do this upgrade. The first one's going to be actually in the glove box of this Cruze. We're going to open this guy up and we're going to come down here and we're going to take a look at the service manual ID label, and we're looking for KTA. So you want to find that you have KTA, which is one of the option codes that signifies you have the proper wiring harness to do this upgrade. Now we're going to move over to the other side of the vehicle and do the other two checks. All right, guys, the second thing we're going to check to see if this KTA option is still all installed in your vehicle. As we open up the center console, we should see an aux and USB jack installed on the vehicle. The next check we're going to do is we're going to use the radio. I'm going to plug in an actual USB cable, and I'm going to plug in an iPhone. I'm going to turn the radio on, and by the way, you have to have a factory radio, which is the other check for this. With this jack connected and USB connected and an iPhone picked up, and the volume's down here so we don't have any background music, I'm going to press and hold the menu key, or button rather, on the head unit in, and I see a hardware and software ID. This is actually the hardware and software ID of the module we're upgrading, not the radio. So the fact that we pulled this information is a good sign it's there. So with those checks, I think we can be satisfied. We have the option on the car when it was made. We still see the jacks in the center console. They're functional. We can plug up an iPhone and we can pull up the hardware and software ID of the module. So it's probably there. So it means this upgrade should apply to you. So let's get started. All right, guys, we're going to need to remove this side access panel first. And to get into there, you're going to need to move the passenger seat back. So I'm going to pull up and slide the passenger seat back. There's a couple of clips. There's one here, there's three here, and then there's some interlocking tabs, two here that interlock with this piece of plastic and the one at the back with the floorboard. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the bottom one out. That's the bottom clip. And then what I'm going to try and do now is I'm just going to push in on this to free this up. And then I'm going to pull the other tabs off the top. 1, 2, and 3, and then slide it out. So this is the piece that goes in the back. These are the 3 tabs at the top. These are the 2 that you want to slide out of this without damaging them, so you have to give it a slide. Then this is the retaining tab at the bottom. This is going to give us some access in here with our hand. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is removing these center pieces. This is an automatic transmission. I'm just going to be able to show the automatic, but I'll write up some tips on how you would do this with a manual in terms of getting access to the same things that we're doing here, but I can't show that obviously because this vehicle is an automatic. So let me position the camera for this side and we'll come back and keep going. All right, guys, we're going to start with this center piece first. So just take a plastic type of tool because you don't want to damage anything and just work it around. There's a clip here at the bottom, and then there's another one up here as you go past this air conditioning fan control knob. It's going to be right around here. Just going to get the tool on there so we can wedge it off. All right, and then with this off, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Don't be afraid about hurting anything. The only advice I'd have here is there's a couple of switches here, so don't yank up on this or you'll damage the wiring. So just continue to work these clips off. When the clips are off, just take this guy and fold him to the side. You don't need to do anything else with him. Next, you're going to take a 7mm socket. You can either put it on a driver like this, or you can put it on a ratchet. And we're going to need to remove this coin holder tray. It's just held in place by 2 7mm bolts. And once those are out, you can just lift up on this and slide it out. You don't even need to, on the automatic, you don't even need to change the shifter, although later on you might decide you want to. All right, at this point, our module is actually located right there. I know it's kind of dark here, and I might get a flashlight later when we get a little further, but I'm tapping on the module right there, which is our final confirmation that it's there and installed. Now, if you got small hands, you might be able to work with it just the way it is. There's a couple of tabs down here. If we zoom in, there's one here, there's one here that I'm pushing against. And all you need to do to unsnap this is push down on these with your hand and then come up from behind. That's the whole reason we opened up the access here. And you can snap this guy out. Take a little something here if I can. Can't really get my finger back all the way like I wanted to, but you can see I've unsnapped this guy and he's moved a little bit. But the reason I don't work on it like this is I find I get a little bit more room if I remove this air conditioning control panel as well. So that's held in place by 6 additional 7mm bolts. So there's 2 here at the bottom, and then there's 1 here, and then there's the same thing on the other side. And by popping this off, we'll get a little bit more room to work. So I don't necessarily need to see me take all these out, so we'll come back when I get to the last one. Okay guys, I'm on this last 6th bolt here. And once you got all 6 of those out, very similar to the other pieces, it's just held in by clips at this point. Now you want to be a little bit more gentle on this guy because it is a pretty sophisticated piece of electronics, but we're after the clip that's right up here first. And that's actually got this upper piece that has the bezel for the radio and your air conditioning vent pieces on it, and we're just going to pry this up a little bit as well. We don't need to remove the whole thing. We just want to get it where this is loose, and we're going to do the same thing on this side with the clip that's on the driver's side. And once we get that off, we can take this guy and get him out of the way. Now we've got, and again, we don't have to disconnect anything. You don't need to do that. Now we've got a lot better view of this, and I'll put you some light here, and you can see this is our PDIM, or in this case, the first one is sometimes called a multimedia player interface module, but you can see it actually says PDIM on it. Now this is what you get with option KTA, which is just your USB and aux-in input to the factory radio head unit. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy into a position where we can disconnect him now. So if you could either turn it straight down like this, or you can try to pull it out. There's not a lot of slack on the wiring harness, but you can move this thing around, figure out what works best for you. I'm going to have it just like this. So if we zoom in on this connector here, we can see this is just a standard type of Delphi connector. There's a tab here, a locking tab. We're going to push down on that all the way. You're not going to be able to see this, but I have to push it against the unit to get it off. But you can see here on the connector, you push down, and that's helping release the inner plastic tab that it's retained on. Now this other connector is a little bit harder. So if I can get this out where we can get a better view of it. So this is got a metal piece to it, and this is actually the USB connector itself. And get some light on here because this is probably one of the harder pieces it is. And you can see here, hopefully you guys can see here, so this is metal tab. Trying to get this in an orientation with the flashlight. And then up in the middle, this metal tab is retaining a piece of plastic right there. Sorry about that. And what we want to do is, normally if you push in and push down on this, it'll lift up enough to pull this out, but not always. But we'll try it that way first. I'll try just pushing it in all the way, pushing this metal tab down all the way, and it comes out. Now you'll see a lot of people in these forums tell you that that won't work and that you have to get a screwdriver in here and prise up on it. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that metal tab to clear this little plastic latch. So, it's supposed to be just push in and push down on the metal tab all the way, and it does release. But, I guess it's possible if yours is bent that it'll be a little bit more of a problem. And then the plastic on this side, there's the connection there for the wiring harness that latches on. Anyway, this is all there is to this guy. And all there is to putting the other one in is just to reverse this. So I'm going to go grab the other one that we're replacing this with. And this is a GM 233-40430. And there's a whole series of these part numbers, and I'll go through some of that history in the video description. There's a number of these that will work and be compatible. The newer ones like this one have a yellow label. The previous generation has a blue label. You can see there's a little Bluetooth logo, which is your clue that you've got the right unit. And you compare these two, right? They're identical. They're plug compatible. They're even both made in Korea by the same company. Just one's USB only, and the other one's got a Bluetooth radio in it. When you complete this upgrade, you're going to end up with potentially two Bluetooth radios. One that's coming from the Vehicle Communications Interface Module, or the OnStar unit, that you use for hands-free control with your phone, and then a second one that'll be for streaming music. So let's go ahead and get this guy connected. So we'll start with the USB jack first. And again, you know, you got like a small mini version of the USB connector like you'd see on some previous generation of phones to charge with. It's nothing special. It's just in a very special, it's in a special connector to give it a good connection to hold on here. Hear it click, you know that part's done. I'm going to take this other wiring harness connection out of the way. I'm going to try to push this PDIM back down where it goes. And then I'm going to try and turn it around the way I had it. There we go. And then I'm going to take this connector and push him in as well. Looks like he's twisted, and I normally would just let that go, but I'm going to untwist it just so we don't take any more slack away. And this guy just gets pushed in until he clicks, just like that. Now at this point, he's done, right? We've got both connections on. But before I slide it back in, let's do a test and see if everything's working okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put the key in, put it in the accessory position. I'm going to put it to, turn the radio on actually. And I've got the aux position selected. I'm going to press the menu button. And now you see I've got a new menu where I can connect to a new device. Now again, let me just show you, just so you don't get confused here. If I hit the configuration and I go down to phone settings, I've got a Bluetooth setting here. And I've already paired a device.
Pair. Please start a search on your Bluetooth phone.
Which we don't want to do right now. But this is how you would have the pairing for your OnStar system. Even if you don't have OnStar, it's for hands-free control of your phone. So what we're talking about here, and again, if I'm on FM or AM or XM, it won't work. I've got to be in a position where I'm on the aux input device setting, and then I press the menu button one time. And then I'll get this. Now before I set it up, I'm going to show you one last test here. I'm going to just, off camera here, I'm going to reach into this console. I'm going to plug our USB cable back into it. And I'm going to take this iPhone, and I'm going to plug this into the iPhone. And we're going to check that the hardware and firmware levels are upgraded. So that's a good chance that everything is communicating okay with this new unit. So if I do that, now I've got the iPod picking it up through USB right now. So my USB is still working. And I hold the menu button down. And now I see I've got hardware ID DB and software DG. So I do have it reading the new PDIM unit correctly. All right, so now I'm going to disconnect this. And I'm going to go back and pair it up as a new, wait till it's aux and then hit the menu button. And then I'm going to connect to a new device. And my iPhone has streaming, so I'm going to say yes. And now I'm going to go into my iPhone, and I'm going to go into the Settings app, and I'm going to go into the Bluetooth. And now I'm going to say I want you to set this up and start a pairing process. And it's going to tell me to enter a PIN on the phone of 0000. And all I'm waiting now is for this GM Music Connect device to show up. I'm going to tap it. Accept the connection from the phone. Yes. It's doing the pairing. It's now paired. So at this point now I've got both this GM Music Connect, which is I've just added for music, and I already had the Your Vehicle Bluetooth radio, which was for hands-free control. So now let's give this guy a test. So I should be able now to take something. All right, guys, and now if I go into something like Spotify and I play a song from there, right? So everything is working the way you would expect, right? So I can either play from Spotify, Pandora, I can play from Apple Music, Apple Radio, whatever I want. So I've got this upgrade done, and you can see it's pretty simple. It's maybe a 15-minute job, and I haven't lost anything from my hands-free control either. So I hope this helps you out. The only thing left to do is reassemble. I'm not going to necessarily film all of that, but I will show you for the PDIM itself. What you want to do is get it back into the little resting shelf that it was on originally. So you can take your finger and come in, from this side, right? And between that and up here, you can kind of orient it like this. And then you want to get it to where you can press it in here at click. And now you've got both of these latches. And I never know if there's enough light for you guys. So here's a flashlight here, and these are the two latches I keep referring to. Hopefully those are in position. And now it's just a matter of reassembling this. We'll bring the AC piece back over. We'll snap all this back down, and then we'll snap this back down. And then we'll come over here and reinstall the side panel. So I'll come back when it's all buttoned up. All right, guys, so we got this all buttoned back up, and I was just going to show you a little bit more on usage, right? So you turn the radio on. We've got FM here. And like I was going to show you, it doesn't change anything to do. We still have XM here. We still have AM. There's no change at all there. And if you want to use this USB connection, that's still available to you there. And you can still pop a CD in there. But when you want to use this Bluetooth capability we've just added, you can see up in the top you've got a Bluetooth symbol. All you're going to do is press that menu button when you've got the aux selected. And this is the same place we added the device. It's where you can also remove a device. But what's important to do is select a device. And then once you select the device, if the iPhone is in the vehicle or in the vicinity of the device and it's enabled, it'll connect to it. And then when it says it's done, you'll see an abbreviation for whatever the name of your phone is, and then it's available for use. And then when you do that, pretty much any app should come out through the car speakers the way you would expect, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, whatever. I've tested them all. They work fine. Again, in the video description, I'll go over a bunch of background on this and a lot of the different part numbers. Credit goes out to a lot of the guys in the various Cruze forums that figured this stuff out years ago. I've done a few of these now, and I just figured I'd take some time to make a video of how it works so that it can help some of you that don't necessarily read those forums. If you got some questions, I'll try to help. Leave a question down in the comments section. If you found this kind of content useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.